The exceptional visitor. Many centuries ago in the Mediterranean world that was the Roman Empire, a well-educated traveler visited Athens. Although in face and features he may not have looked much different than the local residents, in the eyes of, say, an Ethiopian merchant or a gladiator from Germania, he certainly dressed quite differently, which marked him as a foreigner. On the other hand, the traveler was fluent in Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic, and while he and the Athenians had different native languages, they could readily communicate because Athenians spoke both Greek and Aramaic, and many knew Latin as well. And so the very first day, he struck up short, simple conversations with a dozen or more residents. Before long, he was struck by the staggering array of mythology and religions. The amount of gods and goddesses and philosophies and precepts was quite bewildering. The traveler encountered fatalism, skepticism, animism, and pantheism, classic Greek gods subsidized with the newer Roman myths, as well as ancient Eastern religions like Osiris and Mithra. To better understand this confusing new culture, he needed to learn more about the people themselves. He did wish to share his own beliefs and worldview with them, and so he wanted to understand what they thought and also how they thought. In his journey to understand the culture and people, there are three ways the traveler could have gotten there. What follows are three different endings to the story, after which we will connect each of them to modern educational research. Ending 1. It was very important to the traveler that he understand the religious dynamics and philosophical dimensions of this new culture, so he purposefully selected 6 people to interview: a priest and priestess from competing temples, a silversmith who made little statues of several dozen gods, a tragic poet, an agnostic professor, and a Stoic philosopher. His goal was to gather rich, in-depth, and very human information from a small representative group or subpopulation. He wanted to understand their hopes and fears, their dreams and beliefs, their reasoning and their thinking, what they thought, how they thought, and why. And so he found a local bilingual scribe who carefully listened and recorded these 6 in-depth interviews. After carefully analyzing the interview responses, the visitor was able to draw some very clear conclusions. From this analysis, he recognized some key implications for sharing his own faith and philosophy of life, what to do and what not to do, what to say and how to say it, and even what not to say. Ending 2. There was such an array of beliefs and worldviews that he wanted to identify as many as possible, so he enlisted 4 local student philosophers who also spoke Aramaic and Latin, and all 5 of them went to a busy marketplace or intersection, and each one of them asked 30 Athenians 4 basic questions. In other words, 5 surveyors, 30 human subjects each, 4 basic questions asked of each subject. 1 question about their god or gods. 1 question about good and evil. 1 question about life after death. 1 question about freedom, justice, and human rights. After recording all the responses, they tabulated the data into 4 large columns, which they then cross-checked. During that analysis, the traveler noticed several very clear trends and patterns. There were themes about fate, justice, spirituality, and the afterlife. He then decided on a strategy to reach out to the people of Athens, sharing his beliefs in a way that would resonate with many, if not all of them. Ending 3. He knew what he saw. He knew what he heard. They were tolerant and curious and thoughtful, and they were religious in a vague sense. Though many beliefs and myths were evident, they were intellectual and reflective, and were thus fascinated with new ideas, philosophies, and worldviews. He knew all this. He saw, heard, and observed, and he understood. Any intelligent or educated visitor to Athens would observe and experience the same thing. So, without interviewing representative philosophers and priests, or doing a survey with scholars and scribes, or taking field notes in the marketplace, he got right to work. He responded to what he now knew. He created a new design to effectively share his own views and beliefs about life and love and justice and faith. It was a strategy based on relationships, what we might call an anchor point model with several components. The meaning, or as we might say in our course, the applied theory. Let me now share the meaning or applied theory of the three endings to our story. After this class or course, some of you may conduct research with new data, a thesis. Others will design a new school policy or instructional strategy or leadership model, the capstone. For us, as a research course, the necessary focus of our class, its nature and purpose, has been on designing and conducting research because that is a professional skill which master's degree candidates need. And so whether you do collect and analyze formal data, as in ending 1, or 2, both theses, or respond to informal data with a new design, as in ending 3, the capstone project, you all will conduct a literature review, a statement chapter, and a methodology or procedure chapter, for each of which you now have a good first draft. The end. Our illustration has been based on a biblical story of the Apostle Paul visiting the city of Athens in Acts 17.